All right. Happy Thursday, everyone. If you intended to come to office hours for static analysis, you have found yourself in the right place. We'll go through like we always do with starting with demos, and Ross has got it from the start. So, floor is yours, sir.
All right. Yeah, so we've so the Breakman tool that we use just recently updated so that it now scans just about any Ruby file. So we have updated our Breakman analyzer and detection rules so that that is now supported. So any Ruby any project with Ruby files should run automatically. I guess I'll go through the demo and then we can talk about questions and such. So here is our SAST template that is running on GitLab.com, and we'll go out with the next release of the self-managed. And this is the pertinent update. Now we're just looking for any Ruby file or a gem file. A gem file is the most common way that people write Ruby projects, but you can write a Ruby project without any gem files. So this gives us a little bit extra coverage with the checking for .rb. So here and this isn't going to be a live demo. This is just something that already happened, and Greg kind of inspired this one actually. So this is GitLab shell. It's mostly a Go project, but it does have some Ruby, and oh my goodness. I'm just gonna go ahead and open up the GitLab CI because things are in my way. Okay, so it includes the SAST template already, and there's no variable overrides or anything in there. So as of a week ago, before the new Breakman changes rolled out, Breakman was not running. So it's running GoSect and some secret detection jobs, but not Breakman. So, and then, drum roll, we're going to switch to the pipeline from today, and Breakman is running. They didn't have to do anything. Nobody did anything except for we deployed changes to production, and this automatically happened. A little bit, I mean, I guess it's good, but it's also anticlimactic in that there were no vulnerabilities found. So that's a good thing for GitLab shell, but nothing to see in the report. So we can hop over to questions and I can stop sharing my screen. So Greg.
No questions. This looks great. I'm looking forward to trying it out myself. Okay.
I guess not necessarily questions, but comments. Sorry.
I guess I do have one question. So it's gem file and it was Ruby, is the other like a okay. Yep. So we have this utility in GitLab support called GitLab SOS, and it basically grabs a bunch of logs and runs commands like disk free and freem and stuff to get system information. But it's written in Ruby. It's just a single static Ruby file. Would that be something that Breakman in its new iteration would work on?
It should, yes. And I guess maybe I should also point out, so Breakman still bills itself as a Ruby on Rails scanner. It does not claim to be a Ruby scanner because many of its rules are still focused on Rails, whether it's targeting specific versions of Rails it finds in your gem file and says, hey, you're on Rails 3.2, you need to upgrade to 3.2.13 or whatever. And then there's some more generic Railsy, model view controller type things, which isn't going to apply to you. But then there are things like if you're trying to run a system command with parameters passed in, it'll flag that. So when you said running disk free or something, so if you're doing that, it might say, hey, this is unsafe. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? That kind of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, as long as it's a .rb file, it should run.
Cool. I will try that out and let you know how it goes.
Excellent. And so you asked about other things, and that's what got me looking at GitLab shell, which is like, it's already running. I don't have to make something up to demo, which is great. I did look at Gitly, and have a comment here about it had Sass default analyzer set to GoSec. So in theory, removing that variable would make Breakman run. In practice, that did not work. I opened an MR and Breakman didn't run, but I haven't had a chance to figure out why that is yet. So to be determined, I suppose. But that's, unless there are any other questions, I think that's it.
All right, we'll move on. Greg, you've got a cryptic technical support item in here. I think I know who this customer is, but we'll go ahead, please.
So I don't know if I can. I'm pretty sure I can share the customer. It's not a U.S. federal.
We're gonna let's avoid saying the customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a customer. They work a lot with Java. And they recently upgraded to Ultimate, and they're having some friction with Sass scanning. I've identified a lot of their problems as like the first round. It's like, okay, it's Docker and we're like spending time troubleshooting that and saying let's upgrade. They've agreed to upgrade, but they're currently on 12.10, and they have this. I guess it's called a feedback session now. I thought it was like a office hours, but I will be there representing support, trying to see if there's anything from the technical side or support side that we could do to like basically get Sass working how they want it to, or working with less configuring, specifically spot bugs. And I just thought if anybody wanted to have an invite to that, I could send that out. I don't know. I think I could share the agenda as well, but really it seems that the purpose of the meeting is really more feedback sharing. And I do see that we have Sam White and Taylor, as well as Matt there. So I don't know that we need any additional representation, but you might see some questions from me about spot bugs following that meeting, or if you want to join and see if you could add anything, ping me and I'll send you an invite. What time is the call tomorrow? I have to do time zone math. It is
What time is it for you tomorrow?
It's 11 a.m. Mountain time, so that'd be 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, and noon Central. Yeah.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Send me an invite.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, so we're fine. So, all right. Yep. I'll be there, and we'll and mostly just listening, but it'll be good, informative information for me to cover.
Yeah, and it seems like the folks we're meeting with tomorrow are kind of like the upper management, like they're stakeholders, but they're not particularly admins or like messing with the code themselves. So I think just listening in and being there will be perfect. So thank you.
All right. Lucas, are you covering for Philippe, as he indicated?
Yeah, so Philippe said to throw this on if he's not able to make it today. But This one's just, he ran into an issue with GoSec and asked about it. So I have some assorted notes of what's going on here. I'll just quickly screen share to make this more clear. The window math, 1 second. Okay, cool. Here we are. So here is a job log failing for GoSec here. It looks like in some cases, GoSec says fetching dependencies, exit, and no feedback provided. This is I wouldn't say commonish, but it does happen occasionally with our analyzers because we require debug logging to be turned on to return certain error cases. So this is just kind of an annoying aspect where in the code, it might just be easiest to look at, we run the command, and if debug logging is on, we output any kind of failures and return the failures. This is just kind of like an awkward piece of code that we need to work on more globally here, which is if you get an error, we should output what the error is without requiring people to turn on debug logging. So that's really what we need to improve here, because this should never happen. But aside from that, the actual core issue came up. It doesn't appear that this is reproducible. I tried rerunning it and did not see this. So I'm going to guess it's just a random failure with fetching dependencies to proxy.golang.org. So we should improve the logging there. Probably have to do an audit across our analyzer to see if they have similar logging behaviors. But beyond that, it looks like there is a brief issue with Go dependencies sometime yesterday when this ran.
For what it's worth, Lucas, just so you know, I think Fabian created an issue for that logging where if it's an error, we output it at like warn or even error, a higher logging error level. And yeah. I think he just extracted that in, I think, one of their packages. I think you were part of that conversation, right? Maybe moving that into something we could all use.
Yeah, I remember that, but I could not find the issue. So if you know how to search for that, that would be really great to pull it up. But
I'll go spelunking.
Awesome.
And then I'll send it to you on Slack if I find it. How's that sound?
Perfect.
All right. The only other written item on the agenda has the preface of "if nothing else." So I will pause here. Is there anything else? So, silence means no. Greg, go for it, sir.
All right. Yeah, this is just an idea I had in the shower this morning. So browser extensions. One thing that's kind of cool about them is that you can, like most of them they have an open source license and you can review the code. They're written in JavaScript, and I've scanned at least one or two before with the SAS scanner in the past. And I was thinking, what like an initiative or project, or I don't know, something I consider it fun might be to check for vulnerabilities in browser extensions using our SAST features. And I thought of two potential use cases. One is like our internal security and compliance team. It's always been kind of a gray area about browser extensions, what's okay to install on your work machine and what's not okay. And I'm sure there's people out there who they have extensions installed where the first thing it says, can it like view and edit everything you see in your browser window? And they just click OK. And maybe supply chain or just like for trust reasons, that might not be super safe. So we could possibly audit the source code of these browser extensions we commonly use and maybe have an allow list or a deny list. And then the other idea I had was there's a number of browser extensions that extend GitLab functionality. They either use an API key to show you something extra, or they have changed the user interface in some way. These do generally require like pretty big permissions, like to edit what you do on GitLab.com. Maybe we could have mirrors or something where we run SAS scans on these browser extensions associated with GitLab. If we find something, potentially contribute upstream. And it'd be kind of brownie points saying like, hey, noticed you're on another Git provider. GitLab has some really cool SAS scanning, and like, I don't know, good promotion or something for what you all do. So what do you think?
I agree with Mike. It sounds like fun. So I'm looking for time, and I see people are unmuting, so I'm going to be quiet and let them talk.
So I'll throw out my 2 cents. I've had to do quite a bit of work with the browser in the past, specifically around hooking browser extensions and what have you. And it was a never-ending cat and mouse chase. And it was probably one of the worst experience I ever had as a developer. So while I'm no longer in that position, so if it's something that we want to take on and we feel will have value, I can get behind it. However, I've got I guess some very mixed emotions about the proposal.
Yeah, I don't know where. Yeah, I struggle with where we would find time. I think it's an interesting idea. It's trying to find the time to do it, but I'll be quiet with that.
One interesting idea here is not so much us providing the fixes, but the service of finding issues, and maybe that, and then by having at least a human component, it also ensures, lower false positives possibly, so that it's more actionable for upstream maintainers. It raises, insight into SAS and how well it's working. And so less so about playing with the browser compatibility game, Todd, and maybe focusing on providing the service of scanning, extensions. I think if it was more on that focus, then ideally maybe even things could get automated at some point where, it's just a service for providing the community and also making our employees more safe. So I like the idea, but in terms of taking into fixing the vulnerabilities, yeah, it doesn't sound fun to me.
So I'm like I said, the browser extension is one of these things that I want to get behind. Maybe I have my own baggage around it that's preventing me from doing it. But I would still question it. Daniel, don't you believe that we would still be in that same sort of never-ending chasing aspect of it, where the codes change so significantly that we would have to change the way we're even trying to evaluate the code?
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I mean, if we're looking at it as mostly just that it's JavaScript and we can scan JavaScript as a static, application, so just take a pure SAS approach, I don't see why the shift in the, the architecture or, vast refactors, which are common in JavaScript, would, I don't see that causing us issues where we'd have work generated as much as they might catch bugs sooner. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the proposal. But
I'm just poking. Yeah. So I'm just poking to make sure. So
one other aspect there, though, is if they did do a big refactor or something changed significantly, and it did cause issues with our tools, then we get insight into that sooner. So it would likely be meaningful work, not just work given away, so to speak. But I mean, yeah, as Greg, are you speaking to the fact that they're written in JavaScript and we can scan JavaScript and it's mostly just a JavaScript scan? Or is there something deeper with the extension aspect?
No, I was thinking, well, it seems like it would really be ESLint. So yeah, I mean, we could do a pretty much, I was thinking do a slim down JavaScript scan. And now I'm trying to think of like what just a fun proof of concept might be. And so if ESLint can do like multi-level, if it can find multiple projects, I'm wondering if I should just download all of the GitLab extension source code, put it all in one mono repo, and then just run ESLint on it and see what happens. But yeah, the other thing oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say one other approach that you can try out is doing a GitLab mirror and then enabling SAST on that. And then it automatically updates and you can see vulnerabilities over time, etc.
Very interesting.
If the extension is available as a Git source, right? With one that we sync with.
I'm starting to question my initial idea about a allow or deny list for browser extensions that would actually pass by the compliance team, because I know there's the whole trust element, and if you're doing zero trust, then you can't be trusting 100 different browser extension owners and following up on who is the maintainer of the projects and things. Maybe just a fun thing. I'll do a proof of concept and report back next week what I find out.
All right, that's the end of the written agenda. Anything else folks want to talk about while we're here?
I just saw like a little ta-da emoji on Daniel's avatar there. How did you do that? Oh, I see. Never mind. All right. All right. That's it for me. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. I was going to say that's not a static analysis function. So anyway, but anyways, thanks everybody. We'll see you here next week. Same bat time, bat channel, and have a good rest of your week and weekend. See ya.